Hi there traders, hope you can all hear me loud and clear and we're all ready to rock and roll. Welcome to TradeSetup and the live stream for the 16th of October. Wait for a few more people to get in. Hope we're having a good day. It's picked up a bit lately, hasn't it? Picked up today. It wasn't too bad at all today. Really kicked on strong. Alrighty. Alright guys, sorry, just waiting for people to come in now. So a few will push back out again. Alright, let's just get cracking then. Sorry, a little bit late today, and I probably might have to head off a tad earlier than the 1:30, so it may be only about 5 or 10 minutes shorter than normal. But we'll get a lot covered as usual. We'll just go through a few charts and what's happening. Now, firstly, we'll talk about what's happening in the US. Not much, to be honest. It was pretty much of a dead week. Let alone, I mean, the market, I think, finished off the week in the green on Friday night, popped up a bit, but really from start to finish the week wasn't really too much at all. It was really narrow range in the US, not doing too much, and the reporting season kicked off with the banks on, was that Thursday night, I think. We had a few banks reporting and then reporting the earnings and a few more on Friday night. Not a bit of a mixed bag. I think Wells Fargo didn't do too well. They pretty much below estimates. What expectations, so they got sold off a bit, but I think it was Goldman's who did better. Goldman's tend to always do better than expectations, so they kicked on. So it was a bit of a mixed bag, I think, for the sector overall. It didn't. I think it started off on the back foot, but then picked up to pretty much break even by the end of the session. So we'll see what more reporting comes out in earnings. So that could keep the US sort of ticking along, and it could keep it in a narrow range going forward. It'd be interesting to see how. You know, once we start getting a few of these reports out, how they actually fare, whether there's more hitting below expectations or hitting above expectations or bang on. I think the market, previous quarters they were expecting 7 or 8% on the S&P, now it's down around that 4%. That's sort of the expectations for the earnings for all the reports for this quarter. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. If it ticks off, you know, above earnings, then the market could continue on up its merry way, like we've been seeing the last few months. So that'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to see what we do with the ASX in that time. I was talking to somebody, I think it was Friday, and we're obviously stuck in that range. It looks like we're doing something today. We bounced out. We're up about, I think it's about 30 or 40 at the moment. On the ASX, so it was a bit of a stronger open than what I expected today. It could be a bit of that, if they don't see as much value in the US, they see that they've gone on hard, there could be a bit of a flow of funds, maybe overseas funds at the Aussie dollar exchange rate. There might be more opportunity for funds from overseas to invest into Australia. Who knows what's going to happen, but it could be. Just be wary that if the US does sell off, it doesn't necessarily mean that we will, and it looks like we've picked up a bit the last few days. We're above that 5,800 level, which is a key level. Let's get into it now anyway. Where are we? 58.45, so quite a good day, quite a good close on Friday as well. Held up there, it's just been grinding its way higher. So it could be that we don't get that sell-off like we expect, and if you're sort of caught waiting for that market to sell off before you enter into it, you could be caught doing nothing as we get another push up, and this could be the one that goes up through 6,000. So it's always good to be involved in the market, have something in there, especially if you've got quality setups and quality stocks that, you know, you can't argue that the market, the weekly chart's up, the daily charts are heading higher, so buying into those, even if the market goes sideways, they can appreciate quite well. Depends what trade you're looking at, when you're looking top blue chip stocks, or, you know, some of these mid to smaller cap ones that have got good returns, I guess. So yeah, if this market just kicks on from here, well, let's take a look at the ASX, then just be wary that you don't get caught doing nothing. I mean, look at that chart, just that kick up through that 58 zone. This could be the run. If we get this maybe a bit of a pullback and build a higher low. This could get us taken up and through that 6,000 mark, which is a key. You can see that move up is extended at the moment, so maybe a bit of heat comes out of that. But after all this time of doing nothing, you know, stuck in that consolidation, stuck in that range between, what, 56.50 and 58, or just below 58, there's a lot of people that are ready and raring to jump in. So we'll keep an eye on this, and especially if the US, if it is true, and if that's what happens, you get a big flow of funds from one, you know, depending on the exchange rates as well. If there's a flow out of the US, they're searching for returns. The money's always got to search for returns. Let me just actually get my, just realised I'm not up there. Yeah, yeah. If that's the case, and there is that, you know, funds searching for a few returns, then it'd be interesting to see. There you go. Sorry, the charts are a bit out of whack there. As a flag, look, not really. It was more of just, I saw it more of that range at the stage. Let me have a quick look. Let's get the screen snapshot there. You're talking about John. Are you talking about maybe this here? It is a bit. It's more, as that 58 level, I've started proving a bit of resistance, so it's more rangy for me. These first few spikes up and through, I think that was a bit of more of a reaction of this downtrend, bit of reaction up, push back down, a minor reaction, and then it started getting caught in that range, sort of from July through. So it's more rangy than anything else to me. Once we got it as push up through 58, for me, that's you know, breaking out of that range. So the market's done a lot of effort just doing nothing really. A lot of effort for no return. So yeah, I see it's potential. The next stop for here is up at 59.50, and I think that's done quite a bit of work to see it push up. It could push up this in one foul swoop. You know, it's another 100 points away. Test, even break up through, but I'd like to see it with this move. If you're just looking, that's the range here. If we can, well, we'll just draw that. If we can pull back and build a higher low, I think that's what's going to at least take us up, because that will be maybe a few people caught off guard here. Didn't expect it to break. We expected to respect that 58 and then back off from there. But instead it's busted straight through. And nothing's changed in the US. There's no real story that's changed, I don't think. Overall, it's just, it's caught a few of these short traders in here. It's just washing them back out again. So there should be enough short traders that are squeezed back out of the market, you'd expect. So I want to see this. And then if that's the case, and we get that high low, and we get this little entry up through here, say on the ASX, and that starts to look positive again, some inside high lows we've spoken about before, I'd expect this. I'd expect that, especially if we fall short somewhere around 58.50, 58.75, and pull back from that zone, I expect this to take us up and through 59, 6,000. So, and 6,000 was a key resistance zone. I think it was 6,000. Let's just look on the weeklies. Yeah, you can see that 6,000 level. I expect that, what I just drew up there, you know, pop up, pull back, that's going to break, that's going to bring in a lot more traders that are spent doing it, maybe miss this. So I think that's going to be quite a powerful move if that happens, especially the time spent, you know, well, 1, 2, 3, 4 months stuck in this range, and not rolling over like a lot of people. So there would have been a lot of people that have exited positions, probably, excuse me, put their money back in the bank, put it back into cash, and just waiting for that sell-off down through here, because it was definitely looking like that. With these lower highs, it was looking weak. We even thought it was looking weak, but it just kept holding up. So this last little leg has caught them off guard. And if we get this pullback and we get that, I think that's going to be a strong move to take us up and through 6,000. What's everyone else's thoughts there? Still expecting a bit of a bounce, or who are the bears? And we are looking a bit extended up here too. It's quite a good strong move. So that's why I'm expecting this move. And if we get that, that's what I'd love to see. I mean, if we just head back straight back down again, that's a bit of a random move up. But I mean, it could do that. It could just go bang straight back down. It blows out, brings in a few buyers, and then bang, washes them straight back out again. Was that the high? What high was that? 58.36. So we're above there now. Oh, look, if we close sort of up at this 45 mark here, I think that's quite a good sign that we're going to see this price action rather than this big sell-off and big washout. Yeah, no, I agree with you. And it's only been really the last couple of days, say Friday, I started looking at going, that's quite powerful. And today was a bit stronger than I expected. So I'm expecting to see some of this, especially if we're extended up here. I don't expect this move just to continue on up another 100 points without some sort of heat coming out of the market, potentially, even if it builds a high low, you know, at 5,800 rather than say 5,750, or probably I'm expecting it around 58. So, but we'll see. Let's take a look at the Dow, grinding its way higher. The DAX just ticked over into new highs through that 13,000. Where did it finish? 10 points, 12,991 it finished. So that might be a bit better. You can see that just ticked up on Friday and just traded through these highs, these previous highs. So that's looking strong. The FTSE, that gapped up on Friday too. So that was quite strong too. That's been quite a powerful market. That's looking a bit extended up here as well. That's why you can see this reaction. It's gapped up above this high, 75.51. Sold off back down below that level on Friday, but still finished in the green for the day. I think it finished in the green for the day. It must have. Yeah, no. Of course it finished in the green for the day. There you go. What else we got? So they're the key ones. Actually, S&P still grinding its way higher. So again, these markets are probably going to get through the reporting season and see how they fare after that. But yeah, let's go through a few of these. A few that we've got at the moment. We're looking nice. This is B&O. This is one we've had for a while. We had it on this breakout here, and it's held above the risk level. And I think our risk level is at 44 on this. I think it's at 44. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's at 44. And we just held in here. We held in with a few of these pushes lower, and you can see this is holding high, low. Recently, it's had another pop up, but you want to see it get up through 50. I think it's getting closer. It's starting to look all right. The weekly's looking okay, and it's looking ready just to wash out that 50 zone and really accelerate higher. We'll just have to wait and see. TOR's kicked up again. That's a cracker. We took a partial at 37.5, and if you didn't take it then, you've got your opportunity right now to take that partial off there. But we bid 37.5 now, so just keep an eye on that. That's still looking great. Look at that extension. That's awesome. So the time, and this is where it's got, the market does a lot of time just flushing people back out of the market, putting the supply back on the sidelines of buyers, ready to come back into the market. And then you can see that the time it's spent doing that is probably a few months, setting up for this trade, then boom, straight up. And it does that all within a month. So that's looking great. AUB, I sort of do and I don't. I don't like this price action we just saw after that sort of kicked up to that 1340. It's a bit thinner too at the moment. Excuse me. So I don't like this type of price action. We held in there. We had our exit an AUB at 1250. Whoop. So we had that there at 1250, held in only by about a few points really with this little pop through the low at 3 cents. So held in. It's not looking the greatest. I'm looking to see if we can take a partial at, say, 1340, 35. That sort of zone. If we get that little spike up, take a partial. It just means that we've taken some risk off. We've got a profit locked in. So if it does roll over from there, we could get a break-even trade or slightly positive. I just don't like this price action. That's actually looking good. If you go to the weekly, this move up's looking still pretty good. It's just these two rejection candles I don't like as much. So it's not tickling my fancy. But we'll see how that goes. That's our other one, MGE. That's, we bought that at 280. That's all based around the US, I guess. Magellan, I got that right. There you go, Helen. Magellan Global Equities Fund. So I think that might get a bit stagnant at the moment, but it could just be setting up another continuation trade, push up, and we want to see that continue up to 295 on that. Can hasn't been the best. That sold off that day there. Don't like that at all. So what we had was this little push up, which was great, and we had a lot of consolidation through here, holding high lows. It's just a little bit concerning that, we'll draw that up. A little bit concerning that we've got just that day there, just pop through there. So we may get a bit of, if we can hold up around that 120 and then kick off again, that would be great. I still think it's easily got the level really is at around that 110 probably. We've got our stop probably around that zone, I think, if I remember. Look, I should just get it up actually. Let me just 1 second there, guys. Is anyone in this one can? It's doing well. It's a cannabis stock. They've just go and read the latest report, what came out today, which is giving it a bit of a nudge, up 1.6% today. Just go and read what they. It's just a bit of an overview of what they've been doing, which is quite positive. There we go. Well, we've got our exit on that one. So I'll just get it up now. Our exit is at 108. So that's where we're on a can, just below this little, I think that's your key level at 110. We could chop around here. You know, you get it, what it's doing here by flushing it, and you can see the overall market, that's still positive. The news is good, the fundamentals are good. What it's really doing, I think, with this move is just flushing a few people out that bought it up potentially up through here, but they're not, maybe not holding it below that key level. They're just getting a bit nervous, that sweaty palms feeling. But your key level is really just below that 110, and that's why we're happy to hold our stop just below there. Probably taking on a bit of risk, but I think this one can hold up if we can chop around 120 and then start building again. I think you're going to get that acceleration back up through 140 to new highs. We'll see how that one goes. It's still, still looking okay. Qantas looking great. It's backed off a bit today, but not a lot. We're still looking for that 650 just to take a partial off on that one, just because it's still continuing that short squeeze. A lot of short spray would have built up through here, just below that $6, that key resistance zone there. A few sellers happen to jump in and start preempting a move lower. And that's probably a good thing about just making sure your setups are solid, and you know what you want to see for your setups. We were looking for a short at one stage, looking for that to roll over, but it didn't set up like that. It kept holding higher lows as buyers stepping up to the plate. You can see in here, high low, higher low. About this stage, just thought that's not going to go down, that's going up, and it's going to put that bit of a squeeze as it breaks up through 6, and it did exactly that. Still squeezing them out, still probably a fair bit to go there. Getting a bit extended up here, so that strength of that move's quite strong, so potentially you could expect a bit of a reaction, but we still think it's going to march a bit higher. That weekly trend is looking quite strong too, so it could be a bit of a grind, but I think we'll get our partial sooner or later. Gem, that's a cracker. That's looking good. If we go to the weekly is the good one. You can see this market had a good sell-off here and it started holding around 3. Buyers stepping up to the plate, soaking up that selling, had a little bit of a push-up, then that washout, and that's washed through a few of those late buyers, or a few of these guys that bought it up in here off this higher low, that were happy to buy it in here. That's washed them back out of the market, put them back on the sidelines for more supply to come back in when necessary, and then you got this nice little, you get this grind up to that high again. Just washed out that high. I think it traded a cent or so higher. 419. We got up to 419. Bang, on the dot. Backed off from there. And it built this high low. So that was quite nice. And then you got this inside high low on your daily as buyers kept stepping up. And then we entered in just through here somewhere at, don't remember. Better get my mouse working. I think my battery's running low. Come on, here we go. Gem, 420. So we bought it at that 420 mark. It's just been grinding higher since, but still looking good. So I just really want to see that weekly trend take hold and that extend a bit higher. You probably got your next level to be worried about. That could be a bit of reaction around that 480. So if we can get up towards 480, we'll just see how it goes. I think this leg could extend quite a bit if you take from low to high here, even from 3 to 420. That's $1.20. If you take it around at 320, it's about where we are now, 440. I want to see it extend that zone a bit more though. Yeah, hopefully oil holds up for us then, Helen. See if oil can hold. It's still struggling a bit. Just it's holding above the $50, which I think's a good sign for oil enthusiasts. Probably not the best for the Qantas trade, but we'll see. What else we get? Gem, RMD is the other two that we've got going. RMD and APT, I think, where that APT trade still looks quite nice. I think that's going to blast up through 440 and take out these highs. It's still holding these higher lows. We'll just have to see how that one goes. And just starting to curl up on the weekly, so it's got a bit of a... sorry, if you can get those weekly buys pushing up into it, You got this price action. It's got 1, 2 legs down and started holding this high low. It popped up through that 440. That's where we got in. And since then, it's just been grinding a bit there. But still looking good. It hasn't confirmed anything just yet. If we can see that push up through 440 again, then I think that'll be on for a push up through 450. Start attacking those highs around 470. That's APT. RMD's, it's the weekly one I like on this. You can see that weekly had a good strong move up. This is the move that put a lot of those buyers, those late buyers, back on the sidelines, and then it started grinding its way back up. This would have dragged in a few more buying, and that's washed them back out. But it didn't really confirm. It didn't break that trend up, and then that trend is starting to become a bit more entrenched, I guess you can say, with this move up. So we want to see that push up back up through $10 and continue on. We're from 9.94, I think, on this one, and RMD's about, so we're down about 5 cents at the moment. But not too bad overall. So that's probably about it. That's probably about it from us. I think we're there's a few that are very annoying, and ZNO is one that I think just kicked off today. We alerted that this morning. That's just kicked off. You can see the green candle for today, and that looks good on that weekly. You can see that weekly it's done nothing, and there's probably more. The last 6 months, actually, let's just get on a better chart there. You can see it's holding these higher lows. That price structure, we alerted it around here, and it kicked on without us, really. And then it's just gone on without us again. So if that continues on high, if you got onto it, great. We didn't, unfortunately, but that's up 10% today. But that just looks like a nice little continuation trade. It's just popped up through the recent highs at 47, I'd say, 46.5. It's trading 46 now, just washed out those highs, so we might get that. Maybe not today, but that continue on the next few days and just continue on without it. So that's one that's going well. We didn't get onto that, but it could have been a nice little entry, probably through that 43. In hindsight, it would have been nice through there. Just wanted to see that. I just wanted to see with this one, the reason why we didn't get in was to see a bit more action around that 40 mark, maybe touch down on 40, and then it's just that... I guess confirmation that buyers are stepping in and they're willing to push it on a bit more. I mean, that daily chart looks like it's gone fairly strong, but in context of the weekly, it hasn't done a lot. So this one could really kick on strong. And I think did we mention Tor? Yeah, we did mention Tor. That's probably about it. I think that's that one, WHA. Didn't get onto that, and that's gone through the 140 on Friday. So when did we speak about this? That was Friday. Thursday when we spoke, I think from... Speaking Thursday, it kicked on into the close, kicked on really strong into the close on Thursday. And then Friday opened up, trade up towards that 150 mark, and then pretty much closed on its open. And then today we're just backing off a bit today. I'd say there's a bit of profit taking in there. Obviously, we're getting a bit extended there on the daily. We're going to get a few of these buys in here getting flushed out of the market. And see if we can hold a high low up here and then go on with it from there. All right, so that's probably what's on our radar at the moment. We're pretty much fully loaded. A lot of our positions, we've got about 15, I think, at the moment. Oh, sorry, 15. We've got about 9 at the moment. So I want to see, the next ones we're going for are going to be solid setups. Something that's really proven itself, and it's up on the weekly, it's up on the daily, and we get a nice high probability entry. Otherwise, we could be getting into one that's just not going to work out for us, and we don't want to waste a position on that. Or we just start locking in a few gains. Tor may be one that, it's gone on quite strong, but I don't want to close that out yet. If we just see what the weekly's doing. Well, it's probably a bit hard. Let's get back over to... So, I mean, you look at Tor, that's probably got a lot of room to move on the upside. It's done a lot in the past. Spent a fair few years doing nothing. The monthly doesn't look that great, but that weekly's starting to curl up a bit. You can potentially get that up to 45 easy if we get that kick on the 45. The only reason I like that 37 as a partial exit was really just trying to pick a zone just below that 40 mark, the even 40, where we can book a partial exit without trying to chase it back down again. And it's always good to sell into strength. You can see that market's gone on strong. Sell into that strength. Looks like it's continue on. It may just push up into 40 or even above. It might get to that 45 before it reacts again, and we'll just have to see how it what the price action is telling us. If it does react up there, we're happy to probably maybe close it out, lock it in. Some healthy gains on that one. What's everyone else got? So what do you want to look at, guys? Chuck into, put some stuff in the chat if you like. Put some codes in the chat and we'll have a quick look. For us, just trying to think what else is moving. This is MGC. That doesn't look too bad, actually. Definitely the last few weeks it's been going strong on this one. So I was just plucking that one out of there. We got gold too. I just sent an alert out to gold. I think I'll just kick over that. FYI, Friday. High div stock, FRI. All right. I'll do that one in a sec there, Helen. If there's anything else, guys, John, you want to put something in, that's fine. Anyone else, if there's something you want to take a quick look at, it doesn't have to be a stock as such. We can look at the currency if you like. I'll just click over gold. I just want to show you. That's the SPY. That's been going well. Gold's the one. So with gold, what I'm seeing here, even though it has bounced off, and it's only minor level, this level here, it's just really, I guess, plucking something out. It's a previous reaction zone around 1269, and the market sort of washed it out and then bounced off that zone. But it's not a key support zone at all. You've had this strong leg up, and it just fell short of that major resistance around 1369. Just go back a bit. This is the daily chart, by the way. You can see that key resistance from previously. It fell short of a bit of that zone there. Fell a little bit short of that. So you've got people who are buying, potentially it's just that continuation zone. It's got a bit ahead of itself, I think. And you can see that this move up, this most recent move up the last few days, has been quite strong and been supported quite well. Okay, Nanda, we'll have a look at that. No worries, we've got a few coming through NAN. So a few of these we've got our eye on. I've actually got SAS myself, and EDE I don't mind. I'll have a look at that as well. NAN's one we've looked at in the past there, VJ. Had a look at that in the past, so we'll have another look at that now. So with gold, I think some of the gold stocks I've noticed have looking okay, as in the way of price action, but they're just looking, when you compare that, you know, with where they are and the strength of the move up, it's taking a bit of energy to get them to where they are. So I thought I'd just have a bit of a look at gold to see where it is. Now, we know that this little move up has dragged in a lot of buyers. I think it's about 80% of people along at the moment, or your retail people anyway. So we're seeing that as a potential. More than, I mean, it could be completely wrong. This thing keeps grinding higher. And like you've seen previously, it stays in overbought. It stays in there for quite a while and just continues on. It could continue just to drag on, but I don't think that's done enough price action for me to really have proof that buyers are stepping in and stepping it up. You can see this could easily roll, especially the fact that we've got quite a few, you know, buyers versus sellers is definitely skewed to the upside. It's skewed on the favour of the buyers. So you've got to find that there's going to be a lot more buyers ready and raring, a lot more supply of buyers on the sidelines to continue this trend higher. If not, if we used it all up at the moment of that buy supply, then I would expect a bit of a washout. Potentially this, just wash out this support zone here, come back down to more of this support zone, this rising support, you know, maybe around 1250 or so. I know it's a $50 move down, and then start building. If we get that and holding a higher low and then start working, I think that's going to be a nice entry, and it's washed out a few of these buyers off that support, and then I think that's going to be a nice area to potentially buy into the market. You might find that gold stocks start performing then. If not, we could just get this washout, like this scenario where it doesn't go down as such, but it just get these lower highs. We start washing out a few of the late longs, and you're getting this market, the stochastics pressing down. So the sellers are trying, but buyers really are soaking up. And then you get your evidence of buyers stepping into the market at higher prices, and that could lead us to a nice sort of rally up into that resistance, even blast straight through that resistance zone there. But we'll see. I thought I'd just show that because I think there's a few gold stocks that are starting to kick up. Actually, let's just see. Anyway, okay, let's forget about that. Let's look at what we've got now. So we will start with yours, Helen. What have we got? FRI. Looking good. You can say this move up here off the 80 zone to 87, taking a bit of energy to get it up there, but structurally it's doing very nicely. It's held that high low at 80. You can see it's where buyers are actually happy to step in. If you just step back to the daily, what is this? Finbar group. Oh, it's very low. Not a lot of volume in that one. But looking at this weekly chart, from a weekly perspective, I wouldn't buy it. But if you're buying it from a daily, you do have a bit of room to move on the upside, probably towards $1. If you're buying it in here, if you get a little, say, a bit of a pullback, it builds a higher low somewhere around 84 and you buy into it, you know where your risk is, just below 80, maybe 78 or so. You can happily buy it in there for a run up to $1. Now, if it falls short of that, and you do get that weekly lower high coming into play when you got these people that have bought it through here, you know, been holding it forever, or the people that bought it up with this little run up through here holding it, they're expecting to be bullish, and they just want to get out, book some gains, or just book a break-even trade, and you start getting a lower high in the weekly, then you might have something up your sleeve to what does it pay out on divs then, Helen? What percentage? I mean, definitely that daily structure is worth, you know, the daily structure looks good. It's going to support, at least if you're going to buy it for dividends, it could get a good little return on that. But anyway, it's if that's the case, I'll be more biased just with this last price action, this previous price action in the last few days, even a few months, sorry. After this push down to 76, it's holding that high low at 80, so buyers are stepping in there and see if it can grind its way high. It's definitely going to be worthwhile if that's the case. You're getting the appreciation of price and grabbing it for the dividends. All right, so who's next? Sun. Sun doesn't look too flash at the moment, to be honest. And really the reason is why I wouldn't Suncorp. That is both the daily and the daily and the weekly for me are showing weakness. I've done it again. I always do that. Let's start off with the weekly. Now the weekly for me, the weekly's weak, looking weak. So you've got, it's quite clear that key zone just above 50. You've got that it pushed up here. The market's grinding back. So what it's done is put a lot of that buying, the previous buying, back on the sidelines with this move all the way back down to say just above 10. And then it's worked its way high. It did quite well. You know, pushed up, built a higher low in here, and it's pushed up. So this is a key higher low with this move up into 15 again. So if that was a strong market, if that was quite strong, you would have expected to build a higher low, potentially around that 14. You know, back off, hold a higher low, bring in some more buying, and then that continuous move up, and then you could project that out. So this has washed out a lot of buyers for a new move back up and through 15, and it didn't play out that way. Instead, you've got this major double top, and you've broken a key level on a weekly basis, anyway, just below 14, this key level through here, and then you've just gone and also broken through that level, which is really probably the anchor to this weekly move up anyway. You broke it, and it's been a solid move down. So that's why I don't like that as such. For me, if that's the case, I want to see it pull back. Now let's just draw it up here. So you've had this strong move down, and this is where it did that work previously, just in here. You've had this strong move down. I'd have to see work for me on a weekly basis, something like this, where you can see that buyers are starting to soak up any more selling that might be coming through, because this is going to lead to selling, especially that's the fact that it's a major double top as well. You know, that was a major area where the market's pushed up into it. You got that original move up, you know, put a lot of the buyers back on the sideline. They've come back in, it's pushed it back up, and then it's found that second reaction back down. That's why you got this sharp move down on the weekly basis. Just reacted off there quite sharply. Now, if we're going to get, like we said before, this first move down to say 1250, and we get this move back up, this could lead us to, if we just draw it up here, you know, that move up to a secondary move down, that could take us back down to the support around 1150, even all the way back down to 11. that could extend all the way back down to 11. So we want to keep ourselves out of that if that's going to be the case where, yeah, sorry, just saw your comment there, Helen. So this could lead us to a good sell-off. So you don't want to be caught just buying it here and thinking it's going to go kick back up. So that weekly chart has got a lot of, look, it could be saying you have to go down to your daily chart, which we'll do in a second. I want to see, like I said, on a weekly basis, which can take a lot of time to play out. I want to see this type of price action where on a weekly, you're seeing buyers step into the market and soaking up any of that selling. If not, we could just capitulate, bang, straight back down. So you don't want it. It's what that is going to do is going to keep you out of this if there is a sell-off. Rather than just sitting on the bid, you know, buying at 13, so I'm happy with 13. You know, the market comes back down, it buys you at 13, you enter, you go long, and then you see it all the way back down to 11 before you know it. You want to see this. You want to see evidence of buyers stepping in, soaking up that selling pressure. Some of those inside higher lows, even checking on your dailies to see that your daily chart is showing the same thing, whatever your fundamentals might be saying at the time. You want everyone else to soak up that selling pressure for you rather than you do it. Does that make sense, guys, what I'm trying to put across there? So for me, that weekly, I wouldn't be anywhere near it just at the moment. I think it's got a lot of work for me to get that confidence that something's happening. And this daily chart, just remember what we said about that secondary move lower. You can see this, it's spent a lot of time. It's this move up off this support zone here. It's had a move up, right? It's taken a lot of effort to get it up there, and it's nowhere near really any key zone. So this, for me, is really setting up for a secondary move lower. More than anything, even just looking at the daily. So that there, you can see it's pushed down, it grinded higher a bit, then gapped down and has gone on with it. It's pushed all the way back down. So that was on the weekly, remember, that was quite heavy selling, heavy. Now that buying pressure is not very strong, and it's got all the way back up into that overbought territory. It's getting a bit extended up here. There's no reason why it can't grind higher, but you know, odds are that thing is going to start rolling over and has to at least try to test down and get buying, step back in at 1270, or we just get that secondary move all the way back down to 11 like we described before. All right. I hope that helps on that one there. And what was the other one? Sun RRL. Let's have a look at rural. Regis Resources. Now Regis, just glancing at that, is looking a bit of the same. Whoop. Oh. Okay, Regis, for me on this one, is pretty much the same as what we described there. Faster, I don't know who you are, what your name is, but does that make sense? So you've got the same type of price action. You know, you've had a move up. You move up here, it's quite strong. It's coming to this zone, you know, it's a touch below 450, and then it's backed off in there. So that's flushed a lot of these people out. So that's sort of your retracement. You know, we talk about 1/3, so 30% retracement, or 1/3 to 2/3, 30% to 60% retracement of this leg up. So that's good. That was quite healthy. Washed them back out of the market, and we started building. But the problem is we've come back into that resistance zone. Say it's 430. We've come back in there, and then we failed. We've reacted back off that zone. Nothing to say that we can't hold up here on the weekly, and this is going to be a nice higher low just above 350. But if you go down to the daily just to see what it's doing, it's not looking that. It's looking more that this could be that lower high below 4, and then we get 1, 2, another move down, potentially down to 3, or down to a, which would sort of coincide with this support through here where buyers stepped in previously. So for me, this is much the same. I wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't go buying it just in here. I would have to see just what we said. So on this weekly, I want to see this type of price action. We'll get into a daily actually. Does that make sense? I just want to see this could be one, and I'm seeing this. If this is going to be a key higher low on the weekly, it's extended. That strength of that move up there has been quite strong. It got nowhere near the highs, so it was positive. If it was positive, this strong move should have taken it back up and through 440, which it didn't. So it's struggling up here. Okay, so what I'd like to see is that move is pushed down. That's your key support, say at 350. a bit of heat come out of the market. It comes to more respectable levels, maybe 50-50, and just see the buyers soak it up and start building for that higher low. And then potentially that could lead us to an acceleration higher. You get it pushing up and through 430, and then that would work into play with the weekly busting up through that key resistance zone. And then you'd probably find that that would really accelerate higher. All right, so you just want, basically by going through and just setting up, each trade, just analyzing it just the way we did there, and just even draw it up. If you draw it up exactly what we did here, if you draw that up on a chart, go and save it, put it onto your file, so you know that you're not going to, so you know what you did, and it just refreshes what you were looking at, and say, okay, that's what I want to see. Now, if you don't see that, what it could do is just keep you out of trouble, and that's the best thing about waiting for your setups, and that's probably the end game that a lot of people forget. When you get your setups and you get these higher lows holding, that's evidence that buyers are stepping in. Buyers, other people are doing the heavy lifting for you, or the hard work for you to soak up all the selling pressure. And you don't want to be caught where you just buy, sit on the bid, and then it rolls over and you're sitting on something where it's trading down at 3, you're in at 380, you're down so many percent. You don't want that. You want to be getting it when it's lifting. You want to be getting into a trade on the upside when it's lifting. And potentially, if that plays out, that could play out for a move straight up through 340, like we said. Anyway, let's get into what's the next one there. SAS. I'm puzzled with that as well there, Nandor. It's done a lot, and it's had a capital raising, don't forget, as well, previously, which we had that, I think it was around 18 cents, 17, 18. So there might be a few of these legacy buyers that are just anyone that's wanting to get out of it, that didn't want it for a longer term trade. And you've had a good flow of news on SAS as well. They're kicking goals, and that's what's annoying with this one too. I've been watching it for a while. It is in a good little zone. There's been quite a bit of pressure there. So if it can hold up here and start building again. But what I think, for me, what's happening here, see how it's come from, say, that 2 cents. So that was on the back of that story. They started pumping out a little, what do you call them? Satellites, and they launched them. Everything went well. So that was on the back of that news there. And then everything's gone well. They've done their testing, going great. But the problem is everyone bought it up on the back of that story. So now you're looking for that next news catalyst. What's going to happen next? What they're going to do. So I think a lot of these buyers that bought it up here and potentially bought it just below 10 have seen a good profit sitting on the table, and then it just can't go on with it. So they're starting to book it, potentially just looking down the track for a further opportunity to start buying again. So what this move's done is just really flushing a lot of people out who had bought it previously, or bought it late, maybe up towards that 20 cent mark, bought it up there thinking it was going to go great, and they've just been chopped around, and they're getting sick of holding it. So what this has done is just flushed a lot of people out. If they put them back on the sidelines, put a lot of this buying pressure back on the sidelines, then we had the capital raising just to throw it into the mix as well. And I think that's what kills you too. You get a capital raising, it just tends to kill the market. Then you get these people that bought it at a nice cheap price, just taking advantage of it, taking a quick scalp of a trade, a few cents here and there. Once that gets flushed out of the market, I think we can start, we should expect to potentially see some higher lows. And don't forget, the key level really for SAS, for me, is down here. So it hasn't breached that, and that's that 15 mark. So the market can do whatever it wants above that level. If it breaks down through here, bang, okay, then we've got probably a lot more time to wait, and we have to sit there waiting to see what happens. But I think the story is too good for it to break down and through 15. We had a little bit of a push down here, a bit of nice reaction back up to 20, starting to come down again. But what I'd like to see is that 15 level hold. It's had that push down here. All right, we've had that push down here. It's reacted back up. That's your higher low just in here, another higher low. That's here and here. Then I want to see if we can see this type of price action again. It's just buyers stepping up and holding it up, and that will start soaking up that selling pressure. It's coming to a good zone here in the stochastic, so the selling pressure has been quite heavy, but it's starting to show early signs that it's holding up above 15. If we get that, then I think you're going to get this acceleration back up, and then your key level will probably start coming into play, be around that 20 cent mark. What was the other one? EDE. Oh, There is no EDE. There we go. Yeah, that's struggling, hey? This one's probably slightly opposite to what we just looked at. So we've got a key level at 15 on SAS. This one's just broken down through that key level, which is a bit of a shame. You probably find maybe SAS is going to play out exactly the same. And this is on your weekly, I think. Yeah, this is on your weekly. So at that stage, that key level was there. It was holding up. It was, you know, this little pop through, closed back above. It had that little reaction back up to 20. And then really it's had that bigger washout down to 12. So that for me, it'd be interesting. The only real next level is that pure breakout level where it previously broke out from around 10 cents. So I wouldn't go near this one just at the moment. It's showing definite selling pressure, especially after you got this nice acceleration. It's pushed down and found support at 17. It started working its way back up off there. With this move up to new highs, you know, I don't like seeing that. If at that stage you see it on the weekly, what it's done is come from quite a low level. Quite a low level around 25. It's went bang straight up through the highs. Didn't do, and then you got this big rejection, and on the daily it's probably going to show out a bit more. So if that was a strong market, that should have just kept going up and through, and you got more acceleration rather than this big red candle. And on the daily, yeah, it sort of reacted fairly quickly, and then you got this selling pressure starting to head back into the market even. So I think this has got a lot of work to do before anything, especially after Friday's move, that bang straight down and through. Whether it's something we know, it's just a lot of people getting out of the market. They are sick of holding it. Some of these legacy traders from previously with that run up through 10 that have just been holding it through this mess. It was looking great at one stage, and then you just got all this selling pressure coming through. So essentially that's a major double top through there at 34, 35. And you got a lot of pressure that's pushed the market down. So we'll see how it plays out. I wouldn't be touching it just yet. You know, there's no, if I was going to be a buyer, I wouldn't go near it. For selling, I probably wouldn't go near it either, because I think it's late into that move down. So you really have to see some higher lows that buyers are soaking up the selling. I don't know. EDE, I thought they were not doing too bad. News. I'd say there's a problem with their sales update. Yeah, I'll have to go through it. I'll see if I can go through and get something for Thursday just to see what news flow. It doesn't. There's something that's not so great. What's it so far? Northern Georgia approximately. You can see what we're reading here. Maybe there's been a bit of a bad news coming through. Concrete used to concrete a plant in Georgia to replace approximately. Oh, so there's something's. Well, it looks like it's happened. That's not the news flow that's sent it lower anyway. All right, let's. What was the next one? Let's get on to something else then. Nan, I'll see what comes up there, Nandor. So have a bit of a look through the news, see what's happening on that. It just looks like we've had some bad news flow. There's been a bit of, after this push up through here, something's not quite right. They're probably getting a bit extended fundamentally, maybe a bit overvalued up here. A lot of markets coming, but something's happened on Friday, which wasn't cool. They weren't too happy with it. Looks like it's just that news we said. They've had a bit of a stuff up with a plant they're building or whatever. Nan. Why won't that come up there? Nanosonics. It's actually not looking too bad. You can see that's, it probably is today. So there's two things about this. The weekly is in an uptrend, and a lot of this move down from the end of last year is washing out a few. You got that lower high. So that's your 1-2 moves down that we like to see. So this one's actually looking quite good on Nanosonics, but it's extended just up here. So I would say it's a tough one. I wouldn't buy it just yet. Just because of that weekly chart, I think it's not coming from an area of strength. It's more, so you've had this move down, you've had this secondary move down, you've had this little washout. You can see little spike up to 340, and then that started to sell off. We've had a little washout here. It looks like this chart, they tend to wash out quite a bit, catch you off guard, you know, and just react. So potentially where we are on the weekly, if you look at it that way, what it did previously with this washout, you can see that was a key level. You can see it holding. It was okay. It was looking great. It's dragged in a few buys and turned around and headed south again. So it's dragged into buying and then pushed them straight back out with that move down. If you go to, it's probably the last thing I want to mention, it hasn't really broken out of that contraction lower. If you put a line across the highs there, we're miles away, and it's up towards that $3 level. And another point is that we're overextended on the weekly at current levels, okay? So what we expect to go down to the daily, I wouldn't buy it off that weekly just yet, because I don't think there's enough fat in the upside. I don't think it's breaking out of that longer term weekly downtrend. And the other thing was, if you look at it from that that washout, what it's done in the past, and it's right here. See this little move? You know, we've had that move down. That's quite good selling, and then it reacted quite strong. A bit of choppiness ran through here. Washed the market out, just, washed this little low out, then turned around and broke up through that high at 320. And then that was the start of that weekly move down. All right, so it could be doing exactly the same thing. Don't forget, the weekly was extended at current levels, okay? And we're looking like that's looking quite positive from a daily perspective. But on that weekly, we're looking extended. So maybe it's just going to wash it out exactly like we did here. We've got a lot of room to move on the upside before that. And without even breaking out of that weekly contraction, meaning that we could be just popping up and that could wash them out. But then what's going to come into play, I think, is that the fact that on the weekly we've had two moves down, two quite strong moves down. One, like we said, the move down from 360 down to about 250. We popped back up. This is your secondary move down to 220. So it's washed out quite a few of these buys right back from late 2015. So it's cleaned them back out of the market, put them back on the sidelines, ready to go back in the market. That supply is ready to go back into the market to lift it up. So that's probably the only thing working in its favour at the moment. I just don't like the fact that off that daily even, well, this is the daily, isn't it? Sorry, that it's come down, we washed out, and we just reacted straight up. I'd rather see, and I think this is what could happen. If we pop out, we drag a few people in, it goes a bit higher, it drags in a few of those buys, and then I'd like to see it come back down and start testing maybe down to 250 or even down to this key level around that 230 mark. And then buyers start to step in. So if you get that holding up there and it's looking like it's going to be a weekly high or low, and you get buyers start to step up to the plate, then I think that's going to be quite good. All right, what do we got? I hope that helps on that one. On Nan. Who asked about Nan, VJ? Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes there, VJ. So I'm just reading through a few of the comments. Way better than banks, that's true. It makes sense. Nando, we've got gone through that. BLD is the next one. Let's get rid of that. Just remember, whatever I say could be rubbish. It could be completely wrong. But I think it's just so when I'm talking about things, I'm talking more from a probability BLX. Okay, I'm talking more of a probability sense. What's happening from a probability perspective. I think high, sometimes when they start getting a bit stretched, that's high. Lower probability it's going to go higher. A higher probability they could roll over and wash out a few people before we start seeing bias to come back into the market. Now what do we got here? BLD. Actually, I've been looking at this one. I don't mind it so much. The weeklies, you can see it's just holding higher lows. Potentially this is a higher low on the weekly mark. You can see it's pushed down. It's popped back up through 7 and then had another washout down to 640. So it could be a good area on the weekly, and the daily is starting to support that view as well. You've just got that, for me, we just got that level at $7 where it could easily, and you can see that it's done that before. You can see through here, we popped up. If we just draw that up, it's good to look back on just what's happened in the past. So the market's pushed up through here, pushed up through 7. It started washing a few players out, you know, and it started popping back up, holding a higher low just in here. And that led to another move back up through 7, then bang, straight back down again. So what it could be doing here is just dragging a few buyers back in, and then we could have another move lower just to wash out a few more people. So what it's trying to do is really just trying to find that even between buyers and sellers. If there's not enough buyers on the sidelines ready to go in, then you see the weakness start to come in, and you see these fake breakouts like we've mentioned before. But if there is quite a few buyers that have been flushed out of the market, put back on the sidelines ready to go again, then there should be enough buying strength to push it up. And you should see that continuation straight up through 7. So the daily's not looking too bad. It's just maybe there's not been enough corrective action on the weekly. Excuse me, what we've seen in the past, so you can see that. And then that's a bigger correction. So we've got this weekly move right back down. It could go right back down to 5.60, 80, even $6. And that would still hold true to what we've seen in the past on a weekly basis. Does that make sense there, John? So yeah, what I guess I'm trying to say on the daily, I wouldn't want to go long just here. I think you've got too many levels to contend with. Maybe there's not enough people that have been washed out of the market just yet. You know, if you bought it in here, you're not out of the market. The only ones that have got out, probably the ones that have bought it around that $6, $6.60, have seen it's getting a bit choppy. They're probably washed out here. Maybe the more buyers jump in, they might get flushed back out. But until it starts putting pressure on these people built around that $6 mark, I think that that's why I haven't sent this alert. I don't mind that price action. I don't mind the structure. I just think in context of the weekly, I think it has a bit more work to do on the downside before we start seeing that weekly trend take hold. Now we've gone, so BLX. We'll finish off with BLX actually. I didn't realise the time. Beacon lighting. So from the weekly, you can see the key level. It's more choppy on the weekly chart. So your key levels are right up here. It's at 220. You've had the market push up into 220. It tried to go through, even backed off a bit deeper, had a deeper correction, bang, straight up again. And this is what happens when you, at that stage, when we're trading up here, it's had to wash out a few more people. Now, if this was positive, that should have gone straight up because it's flushed out a few more people with this move down. So it's a deeper correction and it's gone straight back up again. When you get that type of structure happening and then it starts to fail again with this lower high just in here, that's not good. And that's what you're seeing with the selling pressures just start to come in, lower highs working. That's what led to this move all the way back down because all this price action in here has been dragging in buyers. And they were expecting up, maybe after this flush lower, they were expecting that to go on and up through 220. Now, when you get these lower highs coming in place, anyone that's bought in here, if you bought it way back here, you're probably fine. You know, that's not the people that were getting a bit antsy. It was the people that are getting sweaty palms that were buying it through here, expecting that push up through 220, and it didn't happen. When you got that potential, that lower high just even lower again, that third one, maybe this move down is what's flushed out a few of these buyers. Maybe this had some bad news as well. But that is, I think, the weekly, isn't it? Yeah, that's your weekly. So what it's done, we've come all the way back down now. We've had that reaction off that level. Buyers were, okay, that's nice, cheap. That's a good price, down at $1.20. They've bought it back up. It's moved back down. The market's moved back up, and it's run into another major lower high. Okay, with this move back up. And of course, that's led to taking out these lows. It's led to a big sell-off all the way back down to $1.20. So now what you've got is probably the flip of this. The market's pushed up. It's finding resistance. It's a double, triple, quadruple top, actually. Up at 220. It's flushed out a lot of the buying. What we're doing is potentially seeing the reverse, is that it's got this major double bottom. So you can see it's a bit of a line in the sand for buying. Buyers are happy to step in around $1.20. What you've got, though, is a lot of... Let me take another screen snapshot because it's getting messy. So what you've got is... That's your key level. You've got another sort of key level through that 190, and you've got a key level. So really, the weekly could just grind its way higher. you're going to come into a key resistance where we might find a bit of reaction. We might find that lower high start to build around 170 where we are. And then this move could take us back down to retest the dollar, and it could just be choppy. So this on the weekly is quite choppy. You're sort of stuck in between some $1.90 and $1.20. So you're stuck sort of smack in the middle of that range there, you could say. So if we go down to the daily, so from a weekly, I'm not a buyer or a seller from a weekly chart. Go down to a daily, see what it's saying. From here, if you get a push up through 170, you could buy through 170 with your risk around 155. If you want wider risk, you can have it all the way down to $1.40. But you just got to remember that you're coming into that $1.90 where there's probably going to be a reaction up there. So is that a high risk to reward trade? I wouldn't say so. I think it's this move up here. You can see it's come from oversold to overbought. Quite a strong move up, but struggling. So for me, I'd be stepping aside just on this one at the moment. I'd rather see it, have a decent correction, flush out some of those buyers that bought it through here, flush them out and start to be bought up maybe off $1.40 and then start to get your higher lows. That way you've got the move up off a key support zone $1.20. That's your first reaction lower down to $1.40. You get that move up. So if we come back down and we start seeing buyers are stepping at higher prices, they're willing to step in at $1.40 rather than wait all the way down to $1.20. If they can step up in here and we start getting some higher lows, I think your risk reward is going to be a lot higher. And that might give you a 2-to-1 trade up towards that $1.90. And that may even take us up and through $1.90 and start playing up towards, what's the weekly zone? $2.20. All right. So yeah, beacon lighting. So that's it, guys. I think I'll have to call it a day there. I'm going to rush out now. So I hope that was helpful. If you've got any questions, if there's something I've missed that you're still eager to find out, just send us an email to support@tradesetup.com.au and then we'll get into it there. Otherwise, we'll see you back in on Thursday. I hope we got through everything there. Quite a bit of info, quite a bit of me talking. I'm starting to cough, so hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for joining me, guys, and I'll see you back in on Thursday at 12:30.